Hi, this is Sarah.
And this is Rachel.
And this is the Rippah Diaries, a podcast where we rip apart, episode by episode, the Vampire Diaries. Warning, this is a rewatch podcast, so spoilers come up. They definitely will this episode, as always, but especially.
I have so much to say about everything, as always.
Yeah.
It's not different from any other episode.
Yeah, but still, every episode we say this, like, new revelation, everyone.
Just
we
in
have
case.
a lot to say.
Yeah, just in case. But this week, we're talking about season 3, episode 11, Our Town.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to get into what episode this is yet,
Yeah.
but...
AKA Caroline's 18th
Yes.
birthday. That's like a good
way to put it.
Good way to
Yeah.
put it before getting into all the craziness that's
Yes.
going to happen in this episode, because there's a lot of iconic moments.
Definitely.
Starting right off the bat with, it's the morning after last episode, we of course saw Damon and Elena had their very first kiss. First real, like, shared kiss. So at the Salvatore house, the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day.
It's a new day.
Damon is smiling ear to ear as he's taking a shower. Like, he's just living his best life. Cut to Elena in Alaric's apartment, punching and kicking, beating up like a punching bag. Clearly not giving the same energy as Damon.
Not at all.
Via, like, last night's kiss. They definitely are at a different place with this.
Yep.
Alaric comes into the room and he says that she's going to punch a hole into that thing if she keeps it up. Ever the dad. Like, he's so dad this
so
episode.
Dad.
And right off the bat, I was like, so dad about this. And he asks her if she wants to talk about, like, whatever's going on. And Elena's like, nothing to talk about. So clearly, again, denial as usual with Elena.
Yep.
Denial and some anger, I feel like, is a lot of times her vibe, especially this season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she has a lot to be angry about this season. And she's only going to get more.
Yeah, she definitely does.
Yeah.
So, cutting back to the Salvatore house, Damon is getting out of the shower.
Mm-hmm.
He walks, still, like, just smiling.
Yep.
He's living his best life. And he's literally, like, whistling. Like, he's, like, happily walking along when he gets into his bedroom. And Stefan is just, like, standing there waiting for him, like, all dressed, ready to go. And Damon's like, good morning. Like, he's just living his best life. And Stefan's, like, complaining that Damon is making them late to go meet Bonnie at the witch house, that she's already there. And Damon's like, relax. Like, don't let your hair fall out. He's just joking around. And Stefan's like, hurry up. Like, we have work to do.
Come on.
Let's go. He's like, Klaus isn't going to spontaneously just combust, self-destruct, I think is what he says. And Damon is, again, just smirking his ass off. He is making no attempt to hide how happy he is.
He's
right
so
now.
giddy.
Yeah, and Stefan's just like, why are you all chipper? Like, what?
Yeah.
And Damon's like, no reason. Again, Damon and Elena both, nothing's going on.
Nothing's wrong. Nothing's changed. Even though their moods are very clearly affected.
Yeah. Not that Damon could explain any of this to Stefan. No, obviously, not the time, not the place, not the person. But yeah, he just says, like, no reason. Yep. I'm just happy. And so he, like, walks off in his closet to get ready. And he's like, I'll be with you in a minute. So, again, just living his best life. Yeah. Like, his dream has just come true. Elena kissed him.
Yeah.
So, sweet moment. But again, back to Alaric's apartment, where Elena is giving the exact opposite energy about this.
Yeah, she is still going at this punching bag. And Alaric has, like, joined her, and he's holding it for her. And Alaric asks her why she's so worked up. And she's like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Obviously, thinking about their kiss.
Yeah.
And Alaric is like, LOL, same. It might have had something to do with me dying.
Yeah, just casual.
Yeah, because, he's dying all the time these days. And Elena, like, kind of comes back to, like, thinking about that. And she's, like, asks Alaric if he's okay. And he says he is, but he suspects the ring is running low on batteries.
Yeah, clearly it doesn't work very well.
Obviously, he's slow to come back these days. And Elena says she knows, which is also part of why she wanted to get Jeremy out of town. And then she just, like, is still going at the punching bag. And Alaric is like, this is good. You're getting stronger. She is really going in on this thing.
Yeah.
And then she kind of just, like, writes it off, says it's just taking out her frustrations. And then she says she needs coffee. So she goes over into Alaric's, like, kitchen area, which I felt like this layout looked very different. Like, it looks...
Oh, interesting.
Like the reverse of what I remembered it. I don't know. It just was looking.
I don't have a great picture of this apartment in my brain. So as long as I just see, like, open concept and bricks, I'm like, Alaric's.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, exactly. I'm just basing this off of. I guess it was just all open concept. I don't know. But anyway, she goes into, like, the kitchen-ish area and starts, like, making coffee to have. And Alaric tells her that Damon's compulsion on Jeremy must have worked, because last he saw Jeremy, he was packing up his bags. And Elena is like, oh, have you talked to Damon today? Not related to the conversation at all. And Alaric is like, no, why? And she says, no reason. And takes a sip of her coffee, just like Damon.
Yeah,
no
so
reason.
No reason.
No reason.
So suspicious. I like this scene, though. I
do too.
I like Alaric and Elena again. Like the dad vibes are so strong. Like I love that well, first of all, I love the setup of we're getting that like dark Alaric setup of like not sleeping well. Yep. Where was he? What's going on?
Yep.
And then like you said, he mentions how she's getting stronger, which I really like because that reminds me of like in 306 when he was like, "You're too weak."
Yeah,
like, it's a nice callback to that moment and how like he's obviously encouraging her and helping her through this. And then Elena also is like chalks it up to frustration, not like hard work, which I was just like, what kind of frustration, Elena?
Yeah,
interesting to choose frustration.
Yeah,
but anyway, lots of like setup kind of happening here. Like I feel like I'm gonna keep saying this in these next couple episodes, and definitely like every scene in this episode feels like a good setup for like even things that we won't get payoff to until like the last episode of the season. Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting that they're starting to do that. I like really appreciate that in the writing, that they're injecting these little like hints and clues everywhere.
Yeah, this season is so good because it feels so thoughtful. Like we've been saying this whole time about Alaric's character. Like he's definitely getting like more hateful of vampires and all these things.
They're ramping him up.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But anyway, hard to believe he doesn't suspect anything about Damon and Elena at this point. But he seems a little like, I don't know, something's just wrong with Elena. Whatever. Sure. But anyway, of course we have to cut to where Damon and Stefan were going, the old witch house. But we don't see them there yet. We see Bonnie down in the basement, as usual, putting in the work by herself.
Everyone's kissing each other, working out, showering. And Bonnie's down there, face mottoing her ass off.
Literally, she's doing spell after spell. She's yanking the coffin. Yeah. It's not opening. She is doing so much work. And she starts, like, yelling at it, like, why won't you open?
Yep.
And suddenly, the coffin just disappears. It's, like, not even there. And you can hear floorboards, like, in the house somewhere, like, are creaking and squeaking. And she kind of, like, inches forward towards the door and is, like, calling out, asking if somebody is there. So it's like, you know, like, uh-oh, something's going on. Cut outside, we see Damon and Stefan are walking up to the house. And Stefan is making Damon confirm that he didn't tell Elena about the coffins. And Damon's like, yeah, I said I wouldn't. Like, of course I didn't. And Stefan's like, how am I supposed to know? And so Stefan is like pushing Damon that protecting the coffins needs to be their number one priority right now. That the fewer the people that know about it, the better. It should stay a secret. And so Damon's like about to respond to that when suddenly he stops. And they both kind of freeze. And Stefan's like, what is it? And then we cut downstairs again where we see Bonnie walking slowly towards the staircase. And just as she gets to the staircase to like investigate, Damon like suddenly appears in front of her, kind of scaring her. And she kind of stops like, oh, like that's who it must have been. But he's like, he gives her the shush, clearly indicating there is somebody there. Then we see outside that Stefan is waiting outside just as like a hybrid comes out the door. And of course, like they kind of like face off. Stefan has like the perfect, most like evil, challenging, like smirky face. He's like, I've got you. But of course, like as the hybrid starts to rush at Stefan, Damon appears behind him and does the classic rip out his heart that Damon loves to do. And he chucks the heart and he says, these hybrids really bringing down the neighborhood. Yeah. So, interesting. Again, setup of like the hybrids are a problem. Yep. Klaus is actively sending them out to go look for the coffins. That this is like pretty much everybody's number one priority that's aware of it right now is like where are the coffins, get the coffins.
Yeah. And Klaus is getting closer. Yeah. Obviously. If a hybrid found them, it's only a matter of time before Klaus does.
Yep, exactly. So. Yeah. So, everybody wants the coffins. It's
yeah.
like the freaking moonstone.
Oh my god, yeah, it is. Yeah, we'll come back to the coffins though, of course. But at school, finally going to school again, we see Elena is decorating Caroline's locker for her birthday, which is so cute. I love that they do this. We never like did this sort of thing in school. No. But I love this as an idea, and I also love that Elena and Bonnie are decorating for Caroline because I feel like neither of them would want their lockers decorated. Yeah,
but Caroline would.
Yeah, exactly, but Caroline would, so they're doing it for her. And Caroline would do it for them, too, I feel.
Yeah, she would.
I just love this.
I do, too.
But yeah, Elena's starting getting Caroline's locker decorated, and then Bonnie appears. And she comes over and apologizes for being late. And Elena says that it's fine. She just got there herself. But she asks Bonnie, like, why were you running late? Obviously, Elena does not know anything about the whole coffin situation. And Bonnie says she was working on some new spells. And Elena is just like, okay, enough small talk. I have something I need to tell you. And you're not going to like it. And Bonnie is like, what happened? Like, she's just already ready for the worst. And Elena tells her that Jeremy is leaving town for a while to stay with some family friends in Denver until the whole Klaus thing blows over. And Bonnie is like, funny, I don't think Jeremy would just leave in the middle of like all of this Klaus drama and like leave you alone. And Elena says, I know, I asked Damon to compel him. Bonnie like very visibly immediately is not cool with this.
Yeah.
She's like, you did what? And Elena's like, I know, but it's not safe for him anymore. She'll say this like 8 times throughout this whole episode.
Yeah, it's the ongoing rhetoric.
Yeah,
for this answer. It's
like she's trying to convince herself a little bit. For sure. But she says Jeremy will have a better life in Denver, so he has to leave. And the only reason I'm telling you is because I know you two haven't worked anything out, and I just thought maybe you'd want to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
And Bonnie sort of looks over at Jeremy, who's down the hallway talking to someone, and she just makes like a face where she's clearly not happy, disapproving, not sure what she wants to do.
Mixed feelings, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mixed feelings is a good way to put it.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting, and I think it's funny that they show like Jeremy talking to this kid, because I'm just picturing him now being like, so I'm moving to Denver to like anybody that'll listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a better life to every single person. They're like,
no,
what?
It's the safest option for me right now. Jeremy, what are you talking about?
Is he okay?
Yeah. But also I had to laugh at Elena and Bonnie decorating the locker, because Bonnie brings like this poster that says Happy Birthday Caroline that Elena then sticks to the locker, and it's like too big for the locker. I was like, the person next to Caroline definitely cannot open their locker anymore, which is the most like true high school experience ever too, like 100%.
Oh yeah.
That poster's on the ground by the end of the day because people would rip it apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that's funny. But yeah, any of you who are still in high school, I feel like you should start doing this with your friends.
Yeah,
I wish we had
it's so
done it.
fun.
It is a
I
cute
wish we
little
had
thing.
too. Yeah.
But anyway, back to the old witch house. Helpful as ever, Damon is just slamming a shovel against the locked coffin, which of course
at vamp speed too.
Yeah, at vamp speed, which only results in the shovel just like completely crumpling, like farther than denting. It just like is no longer a shovel. Yeah. Why he did this, who knows? Stefan told him he used like a blowtorch, all this crazy stuff. Like, it's not like a little shovel's gonna do anything, but okay.
I don't know.
And Stefan tells him that he's wasting his time, like it's not gonna open. And he confirms that he like checked the area. There's no more hybrids. There's just the dead one, which Damon already like buried and got rid of. And so finally now we get the like original sibling head count. Like Damon lists out who are, you know, the potential people that could be in this coffin. So he says Klaus has 6 siblings. Obviously, we know that Rebecca is with Klaus. We know one died in the old world, one died in the new world as humans. And so they have Elijah. They know they have Elijah, and they know they have the 2 other brothers. So who else is in the locked coffin? Damon says 3 sleeping originals, 4 coffins. Who's in the locked box? Which I thought was a funny way to put it. But it is, I feel like, really helpful as an audience member to hear that kind of like a breakdown where it's like, okay, now I know the math. Because I feel like on a first watch, I was definitely like, how many of them are there? Who? Like,
I know.
What's going
you
on?
forget about, because they don't even really mention Freya. Like,
them.
Like,
it's
they mention
offhanded.
her, but and then Henrik, you know, he died, but
you haven't seen really anybody else, so you're just like, I don't even know how many options there are. Yeah, so it was nice to get this like breakdown to be like, you know we've got 3 of them. We know Klaus has the other. That leaves this like mystery box, which we kind of knew was a mystery anyway, with like Bonnie's been floating that the witches are telling her that that's the thing that will kill Klaus. Then they have to get it open. Which Stefan kind of like brings up here, saying that Klaus, this is the thing that will kill him, and so they have to get it open as soon as possible. And Damon, of course, takes a dig at the witches here, saying that, well, the witches can make the coffin invisible, so why can't they just open it? And he's like calling out to them, taunting them, but like nothing happens. And Stefan thinks that like it doesn't really matter. What they need to focus on right now is getting rid of the hybrids, so that the hybrids don't find out about it.
Which I thought the whole point of having this as a hiding spot was just that
the witches will hide
even if they came here, no one would be able to see them.
Obviously, it's not going to work on Klaus, as we'll see in the next one.
Yeah.
But that's going to work on any average hybrid that's, like, searching around. Like, if one of them went down there. I guess the problem is if they see Stefan and Damon there, that's automatically,
Stefan's been, like, living in the basement.
Yeah, I think that's the real problem, is them hanging out, is the suspicious part.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But otherwise, yeah, the coffins would just be hidden, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't really know why he's like, we have to get rid of the hybrids. That's the new mission. That's the important thing. Which I guess he is thinking, Bonnie's the only one that can open the coffin. Let's be real. It's magically, like, spelled. They just need to give her time to do it. So he's saying, you know, the new mission is get rid of the hybrids. And Damon is just joking around, like, well, why don't you ask them to pack their bags, take a long rest? Like, obviously indicating, Stefan, you're joking. Like, how are we going to get rid of all of the hybrids? And Damon's saying that they just need to keep the peace. Just don't attract any attention to the thing that they're actually trying to hide.
Right.
But Stefan's like, no, I'm not playing defense. Like, I have what Klaus wants, so I'm on the offense. Like, okay, Stefan. He's way too into this.
He's so into it. Yeah.
We will see where this episode
Clearly.
goes. He's way too far into it.
Yeah.
And so he says, like, Klaus has to do what he says, or he will dump his family in the bottom of the ocean, which the fact that this comes up all the time with the original siblings is so funny.
I wish they'd done it at one point. Like, I wish
they do to somebody in originals.
Yes.
So we'll watch originals, not one of the originals.
It's not the originals. But
yeah, it is crazy.
They do that.
They technically do it to Stefan as well in the show, which is, we see the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Damon's like, you do that, and then Klaus is going to kill everyone you've ever known. Yeah. Which he says, like me.
Including me, yeah.
Like, obviously, Damon's the first person on that list. So he does not like this idea at all. And Stefan claims that Klaus is bluffing, that his family means more to him than anything else. So, like, this is the way to kind of make him do whatever they want. And Damon kind of pushes him on that, but Stefan's like, there is one way to find out. We call Klaus's bluff. And Damon is like, whoa. No.
Yeah, even he was not prepared.
Yeah, when Damon is like, dial it back like 10 notches, you've gone too far.
Yep.
Because Damon says, he's like, the only way to call someone's bluff, Stefan, is if you are willing to lose everything if you end up being wrong. And Stefan just smiles and leaves. He just ignores him.
I love him.
Okay, bye.
I love him.
He's so far gone.
He's so far gone, but it's so funny.
It is so funny. And I do love this arc for him in, like, a narrative way, but it's like, that man is not Stefan.
Oh, that is not Stefan. Yeah, no. Love that.
But anyway, so that really tees up what's going to happen in this episode.
Yeah, we'll see just how far he is willing to go to lose everything. But back at school, we see Bonnie just walk right up to Jeremy at his locker, and she's like, Denver, were you planning on saying goodbye?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, she's just going for it. And Jeremy is like, I wasn't sure you cared. Relax, Jeremy. What?
Bonnie does not deserve that energy.
No.
Ghost cheated on her.
Yeah.
Like, she deserves to ice you out.
Exactly. Which she says, she was like, of course I care. Everything that happened with you and Anna hurt me, but I didn't want you to just leave town.
Yeah.
She's better than me. I'd be like,
bitch,
get out of here. You cheated on me. Bye.
I don't want to see your face for like another year at least.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jeremy's just like, he thought that he thinks this could be good, like until the Klaus stuff is over. And he specifically says, I think I could have a better life there.
Yeah.
Which Bonnie clocks immediately and is like, that's exactly what Elena said. And Jeremy is like, what do you mean? And Bonnie just says, nothing. I'm just sorry you have to go. So we leave them there. And then we see Caroline parking her car, rolling up to the school, getting out of her car where she sees Tyler.
Yeah. And they're playing like sad music.
They
when her car pulls up. So you're like,
Coldplay.
Yeah, they're doing Coldplay. So you're
it's
like,
that type of birthday.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a good, happy day. It's definitely a sad day for Caroline. Case in point, by getting out of her car and immediately her like boyfriend, ex-boyfriend situationship, whatever's going on there, is just standing there like waiting for her. Clearly like not a good place for Caroline right now. Not a good birthday, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. Made even worse by the classic line of like, Caroline's like, I can't talk to you. And Tyler just starts by saying, I know you're upset, but she's like, upset? You almost got Jeremy killed. And before you try to get me to understand, can you tell me what you're planning to do about your sire bond to Klaus? And Tyler's just like, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah,
like,
this is the way it is.
This is just who I am now. The classic.
I thought that line from her was so great, though, to be like, before you ask me to understand you or support you, what's the plan? And the fact that he's just like, no plan.
No plan.
There's nothing we can do.
And I'm not even here to ask you to understand. It's basically what he says.
Yeah, he does say that.
Yeah, he's like, there's nothing I can do, but I understand why you can't be with me.
Yeah.
After, like, everything that he's put everyone through. And I can't put you first, even though I want to. So I'm sorry, and I just want you to know that. Yeah. So basically, Tyler's like, we're moving on.
Yeah. I at least respect the fact that he does acknowledge that of, like, you deserve to be put first in a relationship, and unfortunately, like, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
At least he has the maturity, like, to recognize that. Because, again, I've said it so many times through this arc where it's just, like, I really feel for Tyler. Like, it's not his fault. It really is not because of anything he did or can control at this point. And then, obviously, the next episode we'll be getting into him actually learning the consequences and trying to fight back at them. But, yeah, it's interesting that he says that to her. And he says, like, that he's so sorry about all of this. He just wanted her to know this. Yeah. And she says she's sorry, too. Like, clearly this is the official, like, breakup.
They're done.
Like, this is it. And then, like, Tyler.
On her birthday.
Yeah, on her birthday, which leading into her birthdays, of course. Got to give her a little something.
Yeah, of course. Tyler then just gives her, like, a little, like, mesh drawstring bag and is like, happy birthday, and walks away. And Caroline opens the bag and finds a charm bracelet. And I was, like, trying to pause and see the charms on it. There's a C and an F and a football helmet.
Yeah. And like, a little cheerleader, like, megaphone.
Okay, that makes sense. I was like, there's something that was, like, longer and skinny.
Yeah, megaphone.
Yeah, okay, got it. And a few other things I just couldn't tell what they were.
Yeah.
Which I just
I know where this is going. It's the most high school boyfriend gift you could get. It's so accurate.
They knew what they were doing here, especially with the contrast later on. Like, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does make so much sense. Like
the football helmet?
I know. Like, he basically gave her a Tyler-themed charm bracelet, which is really funny. It's giving Troy Bolton giving Vanessa Hudgens' character the T necklace. Yes. Like, I'm surprised he didn't get
I'm surprised it didn't
necklace.
Literally have, like, a T on it.
I bet there's a T on it. I bet if somebody found, like, 360 photos of that thing, there's a T on there. There
probably is. Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. But it's like, you hate on it now, but also, like, that's a realistic,
was really
gift from a high school boyfriend.
It is really sweet.
It is very sweet, because clearly, like, you can imagine him, like, talking to Carol and being like, I need to pick out charms. Like, and he'd have to think about every little charm. So it is really cute.
It is cute.
But it's obviously just, like, a 17-year-old, like, kid's gift. Yeah. But yeah, it just thought it was funny.
Yeah, and then she just kind of, like, looks at it kind of sadly. Obviously, their relationship just ended.
Was she gonna wear this now?
Yeah, I was gonna say, she can't do anything with this now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought, also, I just have to interject here, I thought she looked so pretty in this scene. I don't know if that was just me, but I was like, her hair looked so soft and shiny. Her makeup was so, like, glowy and delicate. I was like, I don't know what they did different in this scene, but I just thought she looked so pretty, and I was like, I'm glad, like, since it's a Caroline-focused episode, it is Caroline's birthday, they, like, gave her a good look, you know? Yeah, they don't always give people good looks. No. So I was like, I think she looks great. Yeah. Like, it makes it that much harder when Tyler's, like, breaking up with her, and she looks fabulous. Yeah. But anyway, I just had to interject that.
Yeah. No, she looks cute. I love it. Mm-hmm. She has a very Caroline outfit on, too.
She does. Yeah, I love the outfit. Very fall, too, which I liked.
Yeah.
But going into the less, like, happy-go-lucky, at the Michelson house that is under construction, Klaus is looking at Rebecca in her coffin, and he closes the coffin. He says, "Sweet dreams, Rebecca." Literally, it's so funny. Mindy, the hybrid, is standing there, and he's like, "Can you show her to her room?" And Mindy's like, and she wheels away with the coffin. I was dying.
He's so
laughing.
Unserious.
That's exactly what I wrote. I said, this man is so unserious. Producer Shay and I were dying laughing when we were watching this.
Him.
Like, he's so ridiculous. He's standing there just like, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but it's so necessary. Like, and the sweet dreams, Rebecca. Put her in her room. Make her comfortable. Like, You did this, bro. Just wake her up.
Oh my God.
Funny. It's so funny.
Also, poor Mindy, just like having to wheel.
She's just like, I can't believe I'm sired to this idiot. Like, it's so funny.
God.
But then Klaus does the thing where, he's standing in the room alone, and suddenly he starts talking. He's saying, I'm surprised you're still in town after I gave you your freedom. And then we see Stefan is, of course, standing there in the doorframe. The boyfriends reunited, but this time as hostile exes who are not getting along. And Stefan says, well, I live here. And Klaus is like, well, for playing that game, I was here first. Again, so unserious. Like, Klaus, I love how his, like, comebacks half the time are just childish. Like, I feel like he did that to Michael, too, where it's just he definitely did. I was here first. So, like, no, he just has the funniest responses to those things. But Stefan gets right into business. He's being serious, and he tells him that he does not like his hybrids being everywhere. They're like fleas infesting the place, and he wants them gone now. And Klaus is like, well, I like having them around. Again, so unserious. And he says that he's hurt that now that Stefan has his freedom, that they didn't just pick up right where they left off. Again, boyfriends. Why did he say it like that? It's so funny.
They're so boyfriend.
They're so boyfriend, but now exes.
Yep.
And Klaus says, but here you are, guzzling vervain like the rest of them, I'm sure. So much for friendship. Again, dialogue is crazy. And Stefan hits him with the, friends don't strip friends of their free will. Hate when I have to remind my friends of that. Yeah, it's a hard one to have to to remind somebody of. Klaus is like, okay, granted. Yeah, that's fair. I was a little extreme. I get a little moody. Just ask my siblings. By the way, give them back. Yeah. Like, he's like, back to business here. Give me my siblings. And Stefan reiterates, hybrids out of Mystic Falls or I will do it myself. And Klaus will always answer a threat with the threat, of course. So he's like, you retaliate, you kill, or if you do that, I will retaliate. I will kill people. Things will get messy again. And Stefan is like, I don't care. What are you going to do that's going to bother me? But he's like, but actually, maybe I do. Let's say I do care. I care enough that I drop Elijah into the Arctic. And of course, Klaus doesn't like that. And he says, well, maybe I'd be willing to lose one brother if it meant I got to kill yours. And Stefan's like, try me. Let's find out. Let's go. He is not backing down. He does not care. Again, he's going with the tactic of like, call the bluff. That like, you're not going to kill Damon because you know that I will kill one of your siblings. Yeah. Stefan really doesn't realize how much he's messing with fire though by picking Elijah out of all three of them. If he'd said Finn, he might have gotten away with it.
He'd probably been like, okay.
Yeah, go for it. Try me.
Yeah, okay,
I'll find him in 1,000 years when I'm ready to tolerate him again. Like, who cares? But yeah, of course he had to pick the favorite brother, which was not going to go over well. And so Mindy shows up at this point and she's like, is everything okay? Like, how are we doing? And Klaus says that Stefan is going to leave now because he has just failed at making a point. Stefan doesn't like that. So he grabs a saw off the work table and rushes over and clean cuts off Mindy's head.
Sliced off completely.
Yeah, just an immediate beheading out of nowhere. And he turns to Klaus with, again, the most self-satisfied smirk. This is Stefan's smirking episode. And he says, one down. You may want to send the rest of them away before it gets messy. Again, Stefan loves throwing people's words back at them. He really does. It's so funny. He loves to just be like a repeater.
He really does.
It makes me laugh. But anyway, teeing up, obviously, the big drama of Klaus and Stefan this episode and how neither one wants to back down about getting rid of the hybrids or keeping the hybrids. Getting the coffins is obviously the main goal. So teed up for that to get pretty serious here.
Yeah, getting a little less serious. Caroline skips school, I guess, and then she walks into her house and like puts her stuff down when Elena, Matt, and Bonnie jump out from like behind a wall and they have like balloons. They're wearing party hats and tiaras. Yeah. And they have a sign that says "Happy Birthday, Caroline." And they yell surprise. Matt says "Happy Birthday." And Caroline is like, "What are you guys doing here?" And Elena says it since Caroline blew off school, they missed her locker decorations. And then Elena takes off the crown she's wearing and puts it on Caroline's head. And Bonnie tells Caroline to change into warmer clothes. They're going to go to the falls. Mystic Falls, I guess?
Like the actual falls where they have the
but then they
the
don't
bonfires.
Go there.
They didn't go there.
They don't go there.
Well, they change it because of what happens.
Yeah. And they say they're going to do s'mores campfire, and Elena chimes in and says there will be cake like when they were kids. And Matt says, except for the tequila.
He's wild. This episode, I'm going to have so much to say about Matt.
This line isn't that funny.
Yeah, this is
I'm just laughing because the rest of them are.
Yeah, because it's just a tee up for how Matt is crazy.
He's just wild in this one. But anyway, Caroline's like, thank you guys, but I'm really not feeling my birthday this year. I really relate. Bonnie's like, excuse me, you've already claimed your birthday as everyone's favorite day of the year. And Caroline is like, yeah, now it's just a reminder that I'm technically dead and I didn't even like 17. So now I'm just stuck in this filler year. I don't even get to 18.
Yeah.
And Elena tells Caroline that she's not stuck. And Caroline says she is, but it's okay. It's fine. I just need time to wallow in it. And Elena says, I have another idea. Mm-hmm. So we'll see why they changed plans and where they go.
Yeah. I love Elena as a friend. I'll mention this more in this episode, I think. But here's particularly Elena's the perfect friend to have in this situation because Elena has dealt with everything.
She really
can really understand Caroline in this moment and can roll with the punches in that way. Where I think if it were reversed, I don't think Caroline would be doing the same to. I mean, clearly she had a massive party
where she was like,
yeah.
Elena was like, I don't even want a birthday party. Keep it small, if anything.
A whole
it was a ranger.
Party.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think Elena is just kind of the friend you want in this situation where she's very understanding of that kind of stuff and appealing to it. And I really like this scene too of Caroline being mature to tell them that it's I'm having a bad day. I really appreciate you guys. And yes, I am stuck, but that's okay. I'm going to get over it. I just need to have a bad day and kind of let myself feel that. I was that's such a mature, I would not have been able to, one, feel that way or two, vocalize that as a 17, 18-year-old.
I feel I felt like that anytime I have a birthday. But definitely could not
being able to just say I just want to wallow today.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact she's able to say that, I'm she's so mature.
I just really love her. She is.
She's
I love her.
Grown so much in the last year since we don't see her 17th birthday, but obviously we know when she turned season 1, 2, she was so different.
Very different. Yeah.
So yeah, I just like this. I just thought this was a good friend setup, and we'll get into more of that later.
I also feel I have to throw out now. I feel Caroline confirmed Libra.
Yes, oh my god, I was thinking the same thing. She's so Libra this episode.
She's so Libra this episode, but also the timing feels right. It's fall.
Yeah.
It just feels...
She's definitely an October birthday is my guess.
So what's the other option? Scorpio? No.
Yeah, no, just Libra.
Yeah.
Love it.
But anyway,
as a Libra, I'm here. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But we got to check back in at the Michelson house where a hybrid named Daniel is helping out with the Mindy's head is in a bag. Yeah. And he's asking Klaus, what do I do with this? And Klaus is get rid of it, burn it. I don't care. Who cares? Just take care of it.
Poor Klaus. He is all I wanted was this brilliant army that will lift me up to whatever he wants. But he got stuck with
Daniel the hybrid.
What do I do with this head?
He's Tony was the only good one. And Jeremy had to chop his head off. Yeah. Even Mindy was fine, but of course she's... Now he's got Tyler and Daniel. Yeah, I forgot about Tyler. Yeah, Tyler and Daniel. And so Daniel just like leaves with the bag and the head. It's like, where is the body, Daniel? What did you like? Also, what is he thinking the answer would be? Like, memorialize it? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Bury it. But anyway, so he leaves. And then, of course, Tyler is the next one who walks in. Klaus is definitely like, these idiots. I'm so stuck.
God damn it. And he's like probably tempted to wake Elijah at this point.
Yeah, probably.
If I had him, I would.
Yeah, definitely. So Daniel the hybrid leaves, and Tyler comes in, and he's like saying that Klaus called him, that he said he needed him, and he asked what happened. And Klaus explains that Stefan has made him angry, and now Tyler has to help Klaus do something about it. And Tyler's like, can I just be left out of it? Like, please. I actually don't want to help this time. And Klaus is like, what would be the point of that? Yeah. Again, so unserious. And Tyler's like, seriously, like, anybody else? Can't anyone else do this? Like, I lost my friends because of this. I lost my girlfriend. And Klaus is like, oh, yeah, speaking about that girlfriend, I need you to bite her, actually. And Klaus's face is so funny. Like, he has zero emotion. He's just looking at Tyler like, come on,
just
like,
do it.
This is just a normal request. Like, go pick up my dry cleaning. Like, go bite your girlfriend with a deadly like poison. And Tyler is obviously like shocked, not the same reaction at all. He's like, what? Like, a hybrid bite? Like, that will kill her. And Klaus is like, yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Like, so go bite her. And he's like saying that, like, Stefan pushed him too hard, so now Klaus has to push back. And Tyler is just refusing, obviously, being like, absolutely not. And Klaus says, Tyler, I have been supernaturally blessed with the good fortune of a sire bond to you. So one could consider this me putting your undying loyalty to the test, which I just thought was so funny. But again, Tyler's like, no, I'm not doing it. I would never do that. I'm not hurting Caroline. And Klaus is like, I'm disappointed, but, you know, it's your choice. Free will. Like, I guess it's up to you.
Sure.
He says free will and all that. I'll find another way to strike at Stefan. You can go now. And Tyler leaves, and Klaus just has this, like, subtle smirk in his face. Like, he definitely knows. He knows. He's been a vampire long enough that he's seen vampire sire bonds to know that, like, Tyler does not actually have any choice in this, as we will see. Once it's said, it's done.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that it's, like, to the point where Tyler can verbally fight it and say he's not going to do it and thinks that he's not going to do it. But, of course, we all know how that's going to go down. And Klaus does, too. He knows that it's going to work. Sure. But, of course, before we get to that, we have to go to another Mystic Falls event, as always.
Thank God. This one is just a council meeting. It's nighttime. It's later in the evening. Damon and Alaric are rolling up. And Alaric is like, didn't Stefan save your life? Obviously, we're picking up in the middle of a conversation about how crazy Stefan is. And Damon is like, yep. And Alaric is like, but now he's willing to risk your life to push Klaus? And Damon is just like, yep. Yeah.
He's lost it.
Yeah, he's just gone off the rails. And Alaric asks if Stefan's humanity is on or off. And Damon says, which we
bring this up all the time. We love this one.
Damon says he thinks there's another option at play, a dimmer switch, which is a huge problem. Because if there's a dimmer switch and that's the case, Damon can't predict how far Stefan will go until someone gets killed.
Yeah.
And Alaric is like, wait, suddenly you care who lives or dies? Again, still like poking.
Yeah, a little antagonizing.
Yeah, a little antagonizing. And Damon just smiles and kind of says he has like a small list. To which Alaric says, talk about a humanity dimmer switch. And Damon says, screw you.
Yeah. Besties.
Besties. But also I'm like, it feels like
underlying tension.
Yes, exactly. It's like they're joking, but they're not.
Yeah, revealing something a little real.
Definitely. Yeah. And Alaric looks around the party and is like, can a council meeting ever just be a council meeting? And they go inside. And apparently this is the Wickery Bridge restoration fundraiser.
Because it's always something.
Yeah, so it's not just a council meeting.
Yeah. But, they always have to hide the council meetings in a picnic, a ball, like whatever.
God forbid they just meet.
Yeah, it's too suspicious. We had somebody comment about that once, though, in defense of it and saying that, like, it would be a little bit more noticeable if these people were just, like, constantly meeting. Yeah. Like, in season 1, Damon could have caught it faster if there were these like coordinated meetings, whereas at events they all just happen to be there. Not suspicious, which I was like, I don't know if anyone's paying attention to their moves enough, but I do understand the thought process.
I feel like they're not. I also feel like it's way more suspicious for like 5 or 6 of them to just sneak off at any given point.
That's true. It's like bringing notice to the fact that you're suddenly like, not at the party.
I don't know.
I don't know if it matters since all the vampires are like half of them are on the council
at
this point.
half of them are on the council, so it's not even a question anymore.
But anyway, so they're at a council meeting is basically the takeaway there. But again, the dimmer switch. Love when the dimmer switch is mentioned.
I know. I wish we should have done the humanity switch episode after season 3.
But if you haven't watched, we did do a whole special about the humanity switch, and we mentioned the dimmer quite a bit, whether we mentioned this scene specifically or not. So if you haven't, you should watch that because that's where we get into how we feel about this dimmer switch situation, which we're not going to reiterate because it's like an hour-long episode in and of itself.
Yeah, I think it's longer.
So go watch that if you want to hear our thoughts about the actual dimmer switch and whether, which I think we both came to the conclusion we agreed with that it is more of a switch generally, or a dimmer. But anyway, of course, we got to check back in on what's happened with Caroline's birthday plans.
Yes.
We're now in a crypt in the graveyard in the cemetery. And Caroline, Elena, Bonnie, and Matt are entering the Fell crypt. And Bonnie's saying, this is creepy even for us. And Elena says that Caroline was right, that technically she is dead, and she doesn't actually need a birthday. She needs a funeral. And so she says that we need to say goodbye to Caroline's old life so that she can move on with her new one, which is very sweet, you know, like it works. Like Caroline starts smiling and she looks like really happy by this idea and like actually thinking like that, you know, this is what she wants.
Yeah.
And she starts them off saying, "Here lies Caroline Forbes." And Elena picks up, she's like putting candles in the birthday cake that they've brought, and she continues saying, "Cheerleader, Miss Mystic Falls, 3rd grade hopscotch champion." And then Bonnie jumps in and she says, "Friend, daughter, overachiever." They're all so cute,
They're
so
all
supportive.
So sweet. Yeah.
Such nice things until Matt's turn.
Of course. Matt goes, "Mean girl, sometimes." No offense.
Yeah, offense, Matt. Why? Of all the things, we've only listed so far 6 things about Caroline.
Yeah.
That she's a cheerleader, Miss Mystic Falls, 3rd grade hopscotch champion, friend, daughter, overachiever. The very next thing, mean girl. There was nothing else to list there, like maybe a good girlfriend, Dancing with the Stars fan.
Yeah,
we know
great
so
singer.
many. Yeah, amazing singer, great with like a glue gun or something. I don't know. Like there must be there must be 1,000 things. First thing that comes to Matt's mind, mean girl. So,
which is crazy because I guess she was kind of a mean girl.
She was as a human. She was as a human.
Yeah.
But still,
she hasn't been that person in a long time.
And it's definitely not the thing to bring up.
No.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell, Matt? That was not the first thing that you add in there. But anyway, she's like, yeah, no offense taken. I was a mean girl.
She
so
does roll with
whatever.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's aware that that's how she was as a human. So
yeah.
Anyway, Elena then says that she was 17, she had a really good life, so rest in peace so that she can move forward. And she brings the cake up to Caroline, and she says that that's what Caroline really needs, is to move forward. That's what they all really need. And she says cheers or amen. She's like not really sure what the situation calls for. And then she asks Bonnie to light the candles, and Bonnie like closes her eyes and she magically lights the candles on the cake, and they all like giggle and like cheer.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
It's really cute.
I love this so much. And she holds the cake out to Caroline, who like closes her eyes and she makes a wish and blows out the candles. I love this scene so much. Producer Shay and I were both saying that we were like tearing up when we were watching it, because it's just so rare that you get these like really nice, beautiful friendship moments between the teens, and this is such a good one of that. It's probably one of the best.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, with all of them there. Yeah,
it's really rare that you get anything, and especially that when they're together, they're not happy. This is one of the very few like, and it's so pure to be like reminiscing on these just very human, good pieces of Caroline's life, and to be celebrating her, and it's just so sweet. I really love this scene.
I know.
Like, it's so emotional really like to me.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So good.
Back to the usual drama.
Back to our
regularly scheduled drama.
Yeah, back to the less good. Alaric is at this Wickery Bridge restoration fundraiser, and he's looking at a model of the Wickery Bridge restoration project.
I'm obsessed.
Which I love.
What set deck did they pay to have to build this? Like, did they make them do it in 24 hours? Did they have a week? I'm like, I want to know. Somebody from like behind the scenes.
I know.
Please talk to me.
I'd love to know.
Whose job was it to build that, and where did it go when they finished filming?
Oh my God, I hope someone still has it.
I hope someone still has it somewhere, because I was like, I love that.
I love it.
It's
it's
funny.
Really funny. And then Damon just goes, "That's the bridge where Elena and Jeremy's parents died in the car accident." Which, I know that this is said to remind the audience.
Yeah, we need
most
the context.
Importantly,
yeah,
because it obviously is very important. We all know where this is going. But what a weird thing for him to just say.
He's like, oh yeah,
oh, I've been there before.
I recognize that bridge.
They've probably driven on it every day.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Alaric is just like, something is up with Elena, and asks if Damon knows what it is. And Damon says he thinks it starts with a Steph and ends with an N.
Yeah.
And then Damon says he's going to go get a drink, write a check, and then we're out, to Alaric. And he gets it, first of all.
Yeah, I was going to say best buddies.
Yeah, he gets it. And Alaric agrees, so Damon walks off, and then Meredith Fell walks up to Alaric at the table, and she greets him, and she says she's glad to see he's still alive, because a part of her thought he would have dropped dead in his sleep.
Yeah.
And Alaric says he guesses he has 9 lives then. To which she just comes out and says, "Guess that's not a bad thing in a town with a vampire problem." And he's just like, I'm sorry, are you on the Founders Council? Which wouldn't he know?
Yeah, I was going to say. Also, what she points out, her last name is Fell.
Yeah, exactly.
She's literally a founder.
Exactly. That's exactly what she says next. She's a Fell. And then she looks at the model and she says she hates that bridge. Her senior prom date dumped her on that bridge. And Alaric makes a joke about whether she threw him over the bridge after that. And she says no, but she's been holding a grudge ever since. And then she changes the topic and asks where Damon went because she's supposed to hit him up for money for the fundraiser. And Alaric says that's good. He's loaded. And Meredith is like, so is that British guy who pledged to match every dollar we raise. And Alaric is like, British guy?
Yeah, who? Cut to said British guy talking up Carol Lockwood. He is rizzing her up.
He's rizzing her up. That was exactly what I was going to say. Klaus is elsewhere in the party talking to Carol. He's taking a page out of Damon's playbook, and he's like, you know, previously when I thought of a mayor, I thought of an old fuddy-duddy, but you've really changed my perspective. What color are your eyes?
She's like, they're blue.
They're blue.
They're so funny for this. They're so funny for this. And especially, too, like, with the Damon of it all. And he's, like, standing there watching. And he looks jealous. Carol is his girl. Yeah, that is his woman right there. So he walks right up to them. Like,
it's so good.
Yeah, he's not going to have any of that. It's so funny. Why did Klaus have to rizz her up so much?
Yeah, this is, he's lucky he didn't make Damon more angry. But anyway, he walks over and says, look what the cat dragged in. Then he says nice vest, like getting in a little dig at what he's wearing.
Which I was like, thank you for bringing that up, Damon. Actually, I'm obsessed with Klaus's outfit.
Same.
He's got like this like
necklaces.
Yes, I was gonna say the necklace is layered with like a button-up shirt that's like really like kind of low. It's like not buttoned all the way with the vest. It looks so good.
It looks amazing.
I was like, he's killing it. What is Damon talking about?
Yeah, Damon just wears his all black.
Yeah. The standard.
And we see like the hybrid standing behind Klaus. And Klaus says it's good to see Damon because he and Carol were just talking about whether he would donate. And Carol tries to like make nice and just talk to Damon about the bridge. But Damon's just like, Carol, don't take this the wrong way. But do you realize that you've been kissing the ass of an immortal hybrid who ruined your son's life? And Klaus is like, come on, some people would say I saved Tyler's life. And Carol says, Klaus has promised to protect Tyler, Damon, and our town. And Damon is like, from who? The hybrids are the ones that the town needs protection from. And then Klaus says he'd have no use for the hybrids if Stefan would just return the coffins. And Damon says, that's not going to happen. So Klaus says that's what he thought, which is why I've come to an agreement with the mayor. Obviously, we see the flirting was an angle.
Yeah.
My hybrids get left alone and everyone will be happy. All you have to do is to get Stefan to stop decapitating my friends. And Carol chimes in and is like, please, Damon, just get your brother under control or the council will be forced to take action against him. Damon is, of course, like, you've got to be kidding me. And Klaus just says, come on, mate, give peace a chance.
Oh.
Again, being so unserious.
He's so unserious. Like, he's just laughing at himself. On the inside. He can't show it, but he is, like, laughing.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny, this tactic of, like, trying to flirt with Carol, like, get him, like, her on his side.
Yeah.
Because also, like, the lines, the way he's saying this, which I think the dialogue is written in such a way, but I think a lot of it is Joseph and the way he chooses to perform these things. So interesting. I'm going to bring that up like several more times throughout this episode. But this one is a good example where when he's saying like about the full moon, like nasty business, and he turns to Carol and he's like, I've never had to go through it myself. Yeah. I've only had to do it twice, but I'm very sympathetic. He's like inches from her face. He's in her face. It's so insane the way he's choosing to deliver this.
He's doing the most with what he's given.
The most.
And it works so well.
And it's like, of course that's working on Carol. He is putting on the moves.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And then even to the point where like at the end when Carol is saying like, please, Damon, like please get your brother under control. They're on like a close-up of Carol. You can see half of Klaus's face because they're so close.
Next to each other.
You can't get a close-up of Carol without Klaus being in it because his face is like inches
It's so
from hers.
good.
Yeah, I was like, I think a lot of this is like Joseph like choosing to do this.
I think so too.
And I think I think at this point, you know, like they've written for him a few episodes at this point, but I think he still like chooses these interesting, like fresh ways of delivering things that like my assumption is the writers were not prepared for the ways that he was like choosing to interpret Klaus.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I'm going to bring it up again so I won't talk about it too much more, but I saw it a lot really in this scene.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But back to the usual, the predictable high schoolers who are always going to go the way that they're going to go at the Fell crypt. Elena, Bonnie, Matt, and Caroline are eating the cake. They're hanging out. They're drinking. Matt is like taking a shot of the tequila. And Elena like goes to snatch it out of his hand. And she's like, I need this more than you do. Trust me. Okay, Elena. Matt needs it too. Matt literally does not have a family. Do not play the sympathy game with Matt Donovan because you'll probably lose.
He's literally a single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves his kids and never stops.
That is Matt to me.
Yeah. I guess Elena has troubles too, but yeah.
I guess Elena has trouble. Elena's also very sympathetic. She's lost a lot of people. But at least Elena still has people.
She does.
Who does Matt have left? Nobody.
Yeah.
So I was like, girl, yes, you do need the tequila, but like take your turn. Let Matt have his shot first.
Let Matt have his shot. He needs it.
You both do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so clearly they've been drinking anyway. I think that's what the scene is more so trying to get at, is that they're all feeling it a little
playful.
Bit. It's very playful. Caroline's off in the corner on her phone, and Elena's like, what are you doing? And Caroline immediately like acts all surprised, like saying like, oh, nothing. And she's like hiding her phone in the most obvious way ever. Mm-hmm. And Elena's like, you're a bad sober liar, and when you are drunk, you are even worse. Like, you are not a good liar, Caroline. And she admits finally, like, well, I might have texted Tyler. So clearly everyone's getting to that point, just a little tipsy. You texting your exes.
Yep. Not good.
And everyone immediately is like, oh, no. Like Caroline, not Tyler. Nobody's on the Tyler train anymore, especially Elena. And Caroline's like, what? I'm delicate. I was like, I love her for that. That's the funniest thing to say. And so Bonnie jumps up and is like, give her a break. You can't control everything that everyone does all the time.
Get her.
Awkward silence immediately. Everyone's like, whoa.
Yeah, little change.
Yeah, Elena's like, wow. And Matt's like, ouch, Bonnie.
Matt, shut up. This has nothing to do with you.
He loves to insert himself. It's so funny.
Matt, like 3 episodes, I don't want to be involved at all.
That's true.
Now he's fully,
He has, no, this is like Elena's birthday episode, the first episode when he gets like, just slightly drunk, just slightly high. He's a different character.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt is just a crazy person. It's so funny. But anyway, Bonnie's like, well, I know it's Caroline's birthday or funeral or whatever, but I just feel it's really wrong that you compelled Jeremy to leave town. And Elena's like, I'm doing it to protect him, Bonnie. Like, I want to give him a chance at a quiet, normal life. But Bonnie says, like, he should be able to choose how he wants to live his life. You are taking his choices away. Yeah. And Elena says, you know, you can't tell him, Bonnie. You can't let him know. And Bonnie's like, why? Are you going to compel me too? Ooh, the girls are fighting.
Tense.
The girls are fighting. So Matt has to lighten the mood. That's how you know it's bad, when Matt's lightening the mood. He's like, you guys are ruining a perfectly good funeral. And so Bonnie gets up saying, I'm sorry. Like, I just have to go sleep this off or something. And she says a quick happy birthday to Caroline and leaves. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this scene generally. We kind of talked about it, obviously, last episode when Jeremy got compelled, how we felt about the situation. But, like, I do think Elena sort of deserved this, like, being called out. Yeah. Because it is wrong at the end of the day to, like, you know, control Jeremy's, like, life and emotions in this way through compulsion. So I don't think it's, like, wrong of Bonnie to, like, call this out. But also, like we said, like, I do agree with Elena's decision ultimately to send Jeremy away anyway. Yeah. And as much as I'm glad that Bonnie is sticking up for Jeremy, like, Bonnie was the one, the whole relationship, Bonnie was the one keeping Jeremy out of stuff to, like, protect him and try to keep him safe. She was always, like, sending him back. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I feel like she must understand that, like, this is what it's going to take to, like, have him be safe. So, I don't know. Although Elena obviously did jump straight to compulsion. She didn't even ask Jeremy to leave town before just compelling him to. Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel a lot of ways about this.
I know. I mean, we talked about it in the last episode. I feel like I see where she's coming from. I also see why Bonnie would be mad. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is rare scenario where I'm like, I see everyone's point of view on this.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
do
like,
too.
It's hard to say. I mean,
you can't side. The one thing I will say is I do think Bonnie was wrong for using this as the venue to call this out. This is Caroline's funeral. Wrong time, wrong place,
That's
Bonnie.
fair. That's fair. I mean, the drinks are flowing. Matt is saying nasty little comments every few seconds. Like,
it's true.
I don't know.
We'll give her a break.
Give her a break. Yeah, it's so bad that Caroline is texting Tyler. That's how much they've been drinking.
That's true.
Maybe Bonnie let it slip.
That's my one problem with it. Is I think Bonnie's very fair to fight for Jeremy and to call Elena out on this. But I'm like, this was not the time or place, girl.
That's fair. But I agree.
We'll see. She'll sleep it off, and we'll see how it goes the next day.
Yes, it will get better.
The next time we'll see Bonnie. So,
yeah, of course. Just gone the rest of the episode.
Of course.
Truly went home to sleep, apparently.
Yeah. Well, all of this stuff's going down, including at the Founders Hall.
She misses a lot.
Yeah, she does.
At the party, we see Damon and Liz walking around when Liz tells him that Carol's just looking out for Tyler, and they have to assume that Klaus has Carol in his pocket. And Liz says that she's not going to let Klaus hold the town hostage, but she's also not going to let innocent people get caught in the crossfire in a pissing contest between a hybrid and a vampire.
Yeah.
And Damon's like, I'm impressed with you being all strong and sheriffy.
I love their vibes.
I do too. Yeah, Damon is like, I gotta give the flirting back up.
Yeah.
Klaus is gonna steal my other girl. Yeah. And Liz is just like, I'm serious. And that Damon needs to get Stefan to back down before someone gets hurt. And then Liz just kind of walks away.
Yeah.
And then somewhere else at the party, we see Meredith talking with some guy that we don't know yet. And he's saying to her that she's going to ruin her career. And Meredith throws back at him, says the guy who got his job from his dad. And they're going back and forth. And he asks if she has any idea who she's messing with. And Meredith says she knows what she's doing. And they're arguing a little bit more when Alaric shows up and is like, whoa, everything good here? Like, everything okay? And the guy tells him everything is fine, but Alaric says didn't look fine. And the guy then tells Alaric that he might want to get to know Meredith before he becomes her white knight because she's kind of a psycho case. And Alaric just laughs and is like, oh, you're that guy, aren't you? The one begging to have his teeth kicked in. Love Alaric for this call out.
I was going to say, it's moments like this that really remind me why I love Alaric. I kind of forget sometimes. He's one of my favorite characters, like in this especially season.
Yeah.
I love him. This is his move, stepping in and fighting for people when they're getting picked on.
He does it all the time. He really does. Yeah, I've never thought about that before, but he really does.
Yeah, he's such a protector.
Yeah. Also, I love this because this immediately tells us Meredith is not a psycho. This guy thinks she's a psycho. She's clearly not.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that I think on a first watch, it does sort of deceive you, where you're supposed to be suspicious of Meredith, not necessarily right this second, but you're supposed to be in the next sort of couple episodes. Yes. And so you do sort of doubt for a second, but on a rewatch, you're like, yeah, this guy's just a dick. Like, he's not being valid at all. Like, there's no reason. And, you know, I think on a rewatch, we can also predict what they're talking about, which is her using vampire blood to heal her patients.
Yes.
And, like, the fact that he was treating her like that over that is clearly indicative.
Literally saving people's lives.
Yeah. So clearly, like, they're trying to set up that she's fishy, but clearly she's not.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, Brian is, like, saying to Alaric that, like, life is too short. Mm-hmm. And he's, like, still pushing back. And Meredith's like, go away. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And he does. And Meredith says that was her senior prom date who left her and, like, dumped her on the bridge or whatever.
Yeah. Good little full circle moment.
Which, again, proves that he's just a jerk.
Yeah, like, he just sucks. Yeah, I know. I was like what you were saying before. I'm like, you obviously have the benefit on a rewatch of knowing that he just is a dick. But I'm also like, now being older and knowing like this type of male, I'm like, I should have known from the jump Meredith wasn't the murderer, the serial killer.
Yeah. And she explains, like, to Alaric after this that she works with him, that he's on the council, he's the medical examiner. Like, he's literally the guy who signs his name under cause of death as animal attack. Mm-hmm. So, you know, clearly he's, like, involved in all of this. Alaric is like, gotcha. I get it.
Yep.
And then Meredith's pager goes off and she says that duty calls. Obviously, she's a doctor. She's got to be called in to work all the time. So she leaves and she thanks him for the hero moment. So nice setup of Alaric and Meredith continuing. We didn't get to talk about her much last episode, and I'll save it from this episode too, because I know there's
still not much of her.
But at some point we have to talk about Meredith generally, because I really like her. I think she's an interesting character.
I know. I think she's a really good addition, and I'm glad they do bring her back. Yeah. Even in later seasons, but yeah. But we'll get there.
Yeah. But somewhere else in the house, we see Stefan just slipping inside and not so subtly grabbing a knife off the counter. And he takes it right upstairs and he stabs a hybrid Daniel in the stomach. So Stefan's freaking crazy. Then he pulls Daniel's head backwards and puts the knife in his throat, clearly about to behead him at the middle of the council party.
Everyone in town.
Yeah, and literally the founders council. When Damon, thank goodness, shows up and stops him, and Stefan's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. And Damon's like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with you? No dead hybrids at a founders party. Are you kidding me?" And Stefan's like, "No, I told Klaus to get his hybrids out of town. He didn't listen, and I'm going to say it louder." You know, Damon's just like, my freaking brother. Why is this what I have to put up with right now?
It's literally like Klaus having to deal with Tyler and Daniel.
Yeah, it's so much worse because Stefan's actually doing something. And Damon, points out rightfully, this makes no sense because you kill a hybrid. He has 10 more of them. And if you kill them, he will make 20 more. This is not even a logical problem to, be facing right now in this way. And he says, have you forgotten Elena's part in all of this? Uh-oh.
Yep.
She,
shouldn't have reminded him.
Yeah, shouldn't have reminded him Elena's part in all of this. And he says, don't you care that she's going to spend, her life as a human blood bag? And Stefan claims that protecting Elena is not his problem now. He is not compelled by Klaus to worry about that anymore. And Damon says, don't give me the no humanity crap. You can't flip your switch. Your switch is fried, Stefan. Just like your brain. That was so funny. Again, wish we had talked about that specifically in the no humanity episode, because it's an interesting aspect to all of this. I think it's kind of true.
I think
Stefan's brain is fried right now.
It probably is. All of the mixed emotions and no emotions and mixed emotions.
And the strong emotions in the middle of it too. As we talked about, we don't even know how we feel about his emotions and where they're at this point. It feels like they're very close to being on.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But anyway, he's Damon says, you want to take Klaus, you want to beat the villain, you have to be smarter. Mm-hmm. And Stefan says, to beat the villain, Damon, you have to be the better villain. And then he just claps a hand on Damon's shoulder and just walks away. Again, he just leaves.
He's just fully lost it.
Yes, the Stefan logic literally doesn't even make sense. What does that mean? You have to be the better villain, which I guess is what he's going to do. But is that really the best option? No.
No, definitely not. Also not the best option. We see all the teens are still at the Fell's crypt. And Tyler shows up and is like, "Oh, sorry, didn't mean to crash the party."
Yeah.
And Matt goes, "So don't."
Matt is just vibing. Which it looked like they were having fun. Matt and Caroline, Caroline was laying with her head in Elena's lap, which I just thought was so cute.
It is really cute.
Yeah, they're having a good time.
Yeah.
Until Tyler shows
up. But Caroline says it's okay. And Tyler asks if he can talk to her for a second. It's important. So Caroline agrees and they go off and walk into the woods. And in the crypt still, Elena asks Matt if he's okay. And Matt takes the tequila from Elena and takes a swig and says he just wants Caroline to be happy. That's all he wants for all of them in the middle of this crazy life that they all got stuck living. And Elena asks Matt if he really sees them all as stuck. And he says basically yes. And Elena says, Bonnie's right. I had no business messing in Jeremy's head. But I just don't know what else to do. He's in danger here, and I can't lose anyone else that I love. Mm-hmm. And then out in the woods, we see Caroline and Tyler talking, and Tyler says, everything I said this morning, I take it all back. I told Klaus off. He can't control me anymore. Yeah. Not when it comes to you. I won't let him. And Caroline is like, it's okay. Maybe we just weren't meant to be together.
Yeah.
We should just accept it and move on. And Tyler's like, there is no moving on. I love you.
Oh.
Which they've apparently never said before.
I was going to say, based on her reaction, this is the first I love you.
Yeah, I guess so. Which is crazy.
Yeah, it just seems like they've been through so much.
We got to write down. I'm so curious how far the sire bond really goes. Because I'm is that part of Like, is Tyler just saying all of this to manipulate her into, like, getting his chance to bite her?
Yeah, I don't know.
How far
theoretically, he could just run at and bite her. I don't know.
Yeah, so, like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like,
is
he could just necessary? Go bite her. It's not necessary. Maybe he just has no clue.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
But anyway, he says he loves her. And Caroline is like, what?
Yeah, obviously she's 18 years old, and this is the first time, like, her boyfriend's saying she loves.
Yeah, like, we know Matt didn't say it.
Yeah, so she's obviously like, I'm back in.
She's like, okay, you too. And they kiss, and they start making out, and then Tyler bites her neck, and Caroline immediately is like, ow. But then the reality of it sets in, and she's like, what did you just do?
Yeah.
And Tyler is just visibly shocked, and Caroline is like, did you just bite me?
Yeah.
And Tyler is just like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And she's sort of like stepping away, like backing up away from him. And then she's like holding her neck and she like slumps against a tree. And she yells at Tyler to get away from her. And he leaves and she just like falls completely to the ground. He just leaves.
I thought that was so crazy. I was like,
2 minutes ago, I love you.
Why would you not take her somewhere? Why would you not at least go tell Matt and Elena? Why would you not do anything? Like, I understand being embarrassed and like you did a bad thing, but also like, you're going to leave her there to die in the woods? Which obviously we know he goes to Klaus, but like still. I was like, this is crazy of you. Kind of back into Tyler Sucks camp because that's awful.
Yeah, no, not great. Because they literally can't find Caroline at first.
Yeah. As we see.
Which we see, yeah. We see that like a little later bit on, Matt and Elena are looking for Caroline in the woods. They're like, they have a flashlight and they're calling
right outside
her name.
the crypt. So clearly they've just been like,
they just started thinking like, where could she be?
Yeah.
And Elena is like, we're going to go on a search party because I don't trust that Caroline won't get back together with Tyler. Very fair.
Yeah.
And they like actually start moving to look for her and they keep calling out for Caroline. And Elena is like, come on, we don't have any more drinks. And then she gets like a playful voice. Matt is being haunted by the Fell ghosts. Like just being
so playful.
Yeah.
And she like knocks her shoulder with his.
Like nudging
and
him.
He's laughing. It's so cute.
It's really cute. I do love when Elena gets to be playful.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
and especially with Matt, they're such like true best friends.
I know. I was like, they've come so far. I really do like their vibe in this episode.
Yeah.
Even though Matt's being a little crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, then like out of nowhere, Matt gets like knocked against a wall by someone rushing it at super speed. And then he falls to the ground unconscious or whatever. And then Stefan comes out and puts his hand over Elena's mouth and just drags her away.
Yeah, disappears.
Obviously, we all know where this is going.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Cut to Stefan's car where Elena is in the passenger seat and Stefan is flying
speeding down the highway.
And Elena's like waking up and asking what's going on. And her phone rings and she starts to pull it out. And Stefan like yanks it out of her hand and answers it. It's of course Damon. And he's like, Stefan's saying that Elena's busy, but Damon's obviously like, why do you have Elena's phone? What is going on? And Stefan says, I'm making my next move. Let me ask you something. What will Klaus do if he can't make any more hybrids? And Elena sitting right there is like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously she doesn't know what he was planning to do. And now she's realizing she's this piece in this, which Damon is also realizing. And he says to Stefan, leave Elena out of this. But Stefan rolls down the window and chucks Elena's phone onto the road. And Elena is like, what are you doing? What is that? First of all, throw it in the back seat. Why do you have to go in the road? She's not going to climb and get it. So anyway, Elena's phone's gone. And so she's like yelling and demanding like Stefan to stop the car. But he's ignoring her. He's not listening. Like, Stefan has never been more stubborn or, like, dead set. Like, I don't know if we've ever really seen him like this. This is a very scary, different Stefan.
Yeah.
Especially towards Elena.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know. It's so different. Which
Damon is aware of as, like, we go into this next scene at the Founders Hall. Yeah,
Damon is obviously going to try everything he can to stop this. So he goes to Klaus, pulls him into an empty room at the party, and Klaus is like, what now? You just pulled me away from a fascinating conversation about landscaping the town square.
Carol is milking him of every dollar he has.
I know. Klaus is going to be broke after this party.
She's like, we will rename Main Street Michelson Boulevard if you will give us $1 million. And
he's going to do it.
Yeah,
he's going to do it. But anyway, Damon just cuts to the chase and is like, Stefan just grabbed Elena. And Klaus just says, yes, well, he's getting desperate.
I thought this was, well, he's desperate now, I guess. Like, so like, what?
Yeah, obviously still not really phased.
Yeah.
And Damon says that Stefan's going to trying to use Elena against Klaus. So do what he says and get rid of the hybrids.
Yeah.
And Klaus is like, oh, come on. Stefan would never dream of killing Elena. And Damon is like, are you sure? Because he just tried to behead someone in the middle of a council party. He's operating on crazy right now. And Klaus just says, crazy or not, that kind of love never dies. He's bluffing. Literally just calling each other's bluff.
Yeah, literally.
And Damon is like, maybe, maybe not. But if you don't want to believe him, believe me. I know my brother better than anyone. And right now, I do not have a clue how far he's willing to take this. So if he says blink, I suggest you blink.
Great line.
Yeah, you know it's bad when Damon is like, please.
Yeah, speaking of knowing it's bad.
Yeah.
At the Forbes house, Matt is carrying Caroline in his arms, like rushing up to the front door, where we see like Liz is standing inside looking at all of Caroline's like, birthday stuff. And she sees them, and so she obviously runs and answers the door and asks what happened. And Matt says that Tyler bit Caroline. And Liz is, obviously like, oh my gosh, oh no, Caroline, honey. And they rush inside. They get her into her room, and Matt sets her down on her bed. And Liz, my favorite parent, she's immediately just so sweet, saying, oh, honey, Caroline, honey, can you hear me? Are you okay? And Caroline just says, I'm sorry, Mom. And Matt says that Caroline's already hallucinating, and he doesn't really know what's going on. Like, nobody's picking up their phones. And Liz just sits down next to Caroline and is, like, brushing hair off of her face. And she lifts up the jacket, like, collar that she has and sees the bite mark, and it already looks bad. Yeah. Like, this is the first time we've seen a hybrid bite, and it is clearly, like, progressing a lot faster than a regular werewolf bite does. And I also have to assume that he got her pretty good, that he, like, really bit her. Yeah. As opposed to, like, when Damon got bit, it was a nip, and it took a couple days to progress. This is, like, we're at Rose, like, 12 hours later already.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it must be that hybrid bites are like more effective or like work faster because this is so fast. The fact that Caroline needs to be carried, like
even I also
Rose
noticed it looked like a vampire bite. Like it was just the two fangs rather than like when Rose was bit. It was a whole bite. Yeah. So I think there's that aspect too of like vampire fangs are made for biting people. So could inject the poison. I don't know. Yeah. But clearly like it is not looking good for Caroline.
She's already hallucinating. Not good.
Speaking of not looking
good. Yeah. Elena and Stefan still flying down the highway. Elena is like, Stefan, what is the big plan? Like, what is your big move that you're going to make? And Stefan just says he took Klaus's family to make him suffer, so he's not going to let him make himself a new one. Yeah. And Elena isn't really fully getting it yet. She's like, so what? You're just going to lock me up in a cave somewhere? And Stefan is like, kind of pauses for a second. He's like, maybe I'll just turn you into a vampire. Elena immediately freaks out. And
all calm, lost.
Yeah, she was kind of like maintaining composure before, but she's not anymore. And she yells at Stefan to stop the car, but Stefan ignores her and calls Klaus and immediately just starts demanding that he gets the hybrids out of town. But Klaus tells Stefan that's not going to happen until he gets his coffins back. So Stefan is like, fine, then I'm going to drive your human blood bag off Wickery Bridge. And Klaus says that he doesn't believe him. So Stefan bites his wrist and forces it to Elena's mouth and forces her to drink the blood. And she yells, no, and asks Stefan what he's doing. Yeah. And Klaus obviously can hear all of this on the phone. He asks what's going on. And he's like getting more concerned.
Yeah, you can tell. He can hear the struggling and like everything's happening.
Exactly. And Stefan says that he just fed Elena his blood, so there won't be any more hybrids if Elena's a vampire. Klaus tries to call his bluff a little and is like, you won't do it. And Stefan just says, really? Try me, because your coffins are next to go. Say goodbye to your family, Klaus. Stefan starts speeding up. He is flying at this point. Elena is screaming at him to slow down. And Klaus says, fine, I'll send them away. You win. But he does not stop. He's still flying towards Wickery Bridge. So both Elena and Klaus are yelling at him at this point to stop the car. Mm-hmm. And finally, after like a few more seconds,
just as he's getting like on the bridge.
He's right at the bridge.
See them on the bridge.
Yeah. Stefan slams on the brakes and comes to a stop. And Klaus hears this and hangs up, and he's not happy.
His face.
He's very unhappy.
Funny. The fact that Klaus picked Stefan as his like buddy because of the fact that Stefan is crazy, and now he has to deal with the consequences of that is so funny. Like he really made his own bed and has to lay in it right now.
He really did.
Because when he hangs up, he has the craziest eyes. Like, I'm so over everyone in this stupid town.
I hate this town.
Yeah, this is the worst.
He's canceling his check to Carol.
Yeah,
it's like I can't.
He's like, I hate this place.
But anyway, back with the car. Elena gets out of the car and like runs away, and Stefan tells her to get back in the car, and Elena like yells at him to stay away from her, and Stefan again tries to get her to go back into the car. But she's like starts crying a little bit, and
she's fully in tears at this point. Like she's definitely like this is a scene
crying.
I feel like I can like just picture so vividly.
I can hear it in my head
I know
right
I can
now.
hear it because she turns around sobbing, saying, "How could you?"
Yeah,
it's so tragic. It breaks your heart to hear her say it. Of like,
I know.
My parents died going over this bridge. I almost died.
And you knew that. You're the one who saved me.
Mm-hmm. And now I'm tearing up watching it. I'm like,
I know. It's like, this was pretty messed up.
Awful.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And Stefan tries to justify it by saying Klaus had to believe that he'd really do this, and her fear is what sold it. And Elena is like, what if Klaus didn't buy it? And Stefan is just like, he did. And Elena asks him again, like, pressing a little bit more, like, what if he didn't, though?
Yeah, clearly, would you have actually killed me?
Yeah, would you have really just killed me and turned me into a vampire? And Stefan just screams at her that Klaus did. He backed down because he has a weakness. I know his weakness. I can destroy him. And Elena is just like, really? After everything, all you care about is destroying Klaus. And Stefan just says that's all he has left. And this is the one that I really hear in my head. Elena yells at him that he had her. And Stefan says he lost her the minute he left town with Klaus. You just haven't let yourself admit it yet. And Elena asks Stefan if he's trying to make her hate him. And he just says he doesn't really care what Elena thinks about him anymore. And he gets back in his car and drives off. And Elena watches him leave and like, continues to cry, obviously.
I have so much to say.
I have so much to say. I mean, first of all, how sick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. First thing, right off the bat, is how could he resurface the trauma of her parents dying there like this? And honestly creating the new trauma of killing her in the same spot. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I just have no more words. I have nothing else to say. Like, truly, how could he?
How could he?
How could he?
Well, so I have like a couple things about this I want to break down that I just find interesting. First of all, that was the first of all.
Yeah, that's the first.
Second of all, it's so interesting as a plot device to have made Elena one of Klaus's real weaknesses.
Yeah.
For so many different like plots throughout this season and others, but especially this one with Stefan, of having like Stefan exploiting Klaus's weakness being Elena's life. Like, that is just such, like, from the writers, an interesting, like, setup here to have,
brilliant.
Like, given Stefan the position to actually, like, challenge that, to, like, risk Elena's life in order to push Klaus, and that he did it. You know, like, Damon would, at this point, would never have done that.
Would never. Even in season 1.
I was going to say maybe season 1. Maybe. If it meant getting, like, Catherine or something. Yeah, maybe the first half. But, like, post-Tomb, no. And so it's really interesting, just from the writer's perspective, to have set the situation up in this way and to utilize that.
Yeah.
It's just such a curious, like, part of the story for me.
I also think it works really well because in two ways. It shows us, one, truly just how far like Stefan is willing to go, kind of like Damon was saying, and like to show us how different he is from like the Stefan that we knew.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And also, I think it is kind of brilliant in that, you know, I assume at this point they know where they're trying to go with the Delano relationship.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really brilliant to use that to get it to be like a finality for them.
Oh,
like if it wasn't over before,
it's over now.
It's over now. Like everyone agrees. Like
yeah.
I kind of differ. I think it was over before, and Stefan says he thinks it was over before too.
Yeah.
But I think everyone agrees that by this point it's over. There's no going back.
Yeah, and that was actually the third point I wanted to talk about here, is that I wanted to talk about the line he specifically says in this moment is, I lost you the minute I left town with him. Because I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true either.
I don't think that's true at all. We've brought it up so many times, like rewatch pretty much every episode in season 3, and we've mentioned like maybe this is it, maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many that it could be, and there's definitely a few that come to mind. But it was not when he left. I think that's really surprising. But I do think, you know, like if it hadn't been any moment up to this point, it was this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And at this point, it's so over. Like, this is the one for me where it's like, I mean, personally, I would argue The Reckoning was really the, like, changing point for me, where I see that, like, shift in Stelena, that they're just never going to be the same again after The Reckoning. But I think that this was also, like, a real line crossed of, like, truly no going back now. Like, I don't know. I think he was wrong in thinking that it was when he left, because that... Yeah. What we saw of Elena, it was so not over. She was so, I mean, we talked about it so many times. She's relentless.
Yeah, she was so relentless in those first few episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also interesting because I do think it was, like, you know, over, like, sooner, like, Reckoning, or, you know, there are a few other times that come to mind too.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like, you know, they could have worked past them potentially. Like, it wasn't so over. Yeah, but it's so over. Like, there's no coming back from
I don't know how
there's
you could.
Never.
No. He, like, to put it again in plain terms, he almost killed her in the spot where her parents died.
And she almost died,
She almost died. And the spot where they first technically met, even though she doesn't know it. And he saved her life. Like, it's a moment that represents, like, how good he is, that he just stopped to save this random family that was drowning. He didn't know who she was. Like... That is such a finality that, how do you come back from somebody trying to murder you in the spot where your parents died? Like, that's crazy.
You don't.
In any context, vampire, superhero, regular, like, there's no world in which you get away with that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's so over now. But
yeah.
Anyway, a lot to say about that scene generally, but a lot to say about this next scene too.
Yes.
Of course, we've got to finalize what's going on with Caroline.
Yes.
We see at the Forbes house, Matt is going to answer the door because somebody's knocking. And then we see perfectly framed in the window with the curtains is Klaus standing there. I laugh every time they cut to Klaus, just perfectly framed.
I know.
I looking so serious, so
He's very serious.
Yeah. And Matt opens up the door. And Klaus is putting on the act of his life. He's like, Tyler came to see me, poor boy. It seems like something's happened. He was quite distressed. He said Caroline had a terrible accident.
Like, as if she, like, fell off her horse in the 1800s.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
A terrible accident.
He's the doctor coming to see her. Yeah, it's so funny. And Matt is not he's still same Matt from the tomb who's like, I'm not putting up with any of this shit. He must have attended the Elena Gilbert school of running up on people and challenging people you've got no business challenging, because he's like, you made him do this to her. He would have never done something like this. I was like, Matt, this is Klaus. Stop. Just because he hasn't been invited in does not mean he cannot kill you where you're standing right now. No. But anyway, so Matt's acting like he can get away with this when Klaus is still, you know, putting on this good person act. He's still just like, this was such, like, just a crazy mistake. Like, I'm here to help Matt. He literally says, I'm here to help Matt. I was like, Matt, you don't even... Klaus is referring to you by name. This is just crazy. And so Klaus is like, my blood will heal her. Please ask the sheriff to invite me inside. And Liz appears, and she says that she knows this game. She knows what Klaus is doing. He wants something from her. And Klaus is like, just your support. Like,
that's it.
That's
it. In this exchange for your daughter's life.
Which also have to say, this whole plan was so brilliant. Like, it was threefold. It was a three thing. An attack on Stefan for making moves against the hybrids. An attack on Tyler for challenging, like, you know, Klaus and trying to not be obedient to him. And an attack on Liz to get her loyalty via Caroline. Caroline was so incidental in this, like, she was just the perfect target to hit all three of those people.
I also love that he did this to Caroline to get her support, but all he had to do for Carol was flirt with her.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't have to attack anybody. He was just like, your eyes are so blue.
Just like, oh, you have the most beautiful eyes.
Carol's so easy, so funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Klaus says he just wants Liz's support. And she kind of, like, pauses to think about it for a second. But obviously there's no choice. She invites him in. She says, come in. And he walks in smirking. Again, freely vampire invited into the Forbes household now.
Yep.
And he goes to Caroline's room. For some reason, nobody goes with him, which I thought was crazy of them. I was like, you're just going to leave her alone with him, I guess.
I know.
Okay. Although glad they did, obviously. Because of the way it goes down. Caroline is laying on her side in her bed with her arm, like, under her head. Like, she looks sickly. She looks like she's dying. We see Klaus, like, walking through the house, and he kind of, like, smiles at Matt as he, like, passes him. And he goes into Caroline's room. And she, like, weakly asks him, are you going to kill me? This line kills me every time. He says so softly with so much emotion, on your birthday, You really think that low of me? The way he delivers on
brilliant.
Again, the delivery, like Joseph is so, I think, surprising as an actor, the way that he chooses to say things. Because I could easily imagine on your birthday, you think that low of me being said like a million different ways.
Sarcastic. Yeah.
But he really like puts so much genuine emotion behind it in a way that's like really funny.
Yeah.
But is so serious. And again, Klaus has been so not serious this whole episode. And so to see this very serious scene is like, it works brilliantly.
Yeah.
The writers, I feel like, had no idea what Joseph was about to do with this scene.
No, but he killed it.
Like, with what's going to happen. But anyway, so Joseph is putting his all into his dialogue. And he asks her again, like, you think that low of me? And Caroline says yes, just point blank. And Klaus goes up and, like, examines her bite. And he says that it looks really bad. And he says to her, my apologies. You're what's known as collateral damage. It's nothing personal. And his, like, lip is kind of quivering a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that, but I, like, had to watch it a few times. So I was like, his lip is quivering. What is going on?
Oh, I never noticed that.
And it kind of looked like his eyes were, like, tearing up a little bit, which I was like, why is this happening?
Well, I thought that when he said the on your birthday thing, it really does feel like it really hits
like
him. Like, this is like a, It was a very serious, like, emotional moment for him.
Again, I think they had no idea Joseph was about to go in there and do all of this. They probably thought of it as just, like, a one-off, like, menacing little scene.
Yeah.
And it really turns into a whole thing. Because then after he says that it's nothing personal, he, like, reaches forward and touches her bracelet. And he says, I love birthdays. The way he just, like, touches her bracelet so casually, it's a perfect setup, obviously, for what's going to come at the end of the episode. And I want to know, like, did he decide to do that? Did the writer say he should do that? Did the director think? Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I just want to know the behind the scenes of that because it's so perfect. It's so subtle, but, like, a perfect, like, setup. But Caroline is having none of this. She's laying there, and she's like, yeah, aren't you, like, a billion or something? And he kind of laughs. He's being, like, pretty good-spirited about all of this. And he says, you have to adjust your perception of time when you become a vampire, Caroline. And he says you have to celebrate the fact that you're no longer bound by trivial human conventions. You're free. But Caroline says, no, I'm dying. And Klaus sits down on the bed next to her, and he leans in really close. And he's basically whispering to her as he says, and I could let you die if that's what you want. If you really believe your existence has no meaning. I thought about it myself once or twice over the centuries, truth be told. And again, the delivery is so brilliant. You got to listen to the way he says it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, like, evoke the same emotions because it is such an emotional.
It is.
Such an honest.
You said you were tearing up at her birthday earlier. I was tearing up listening to this. I was like, I love them. I love him.
It's so, like, sweet. And again, I think this is something that easily was probably written with a different intention of, like, saying I could let you die if that's what you want. I feel like it was probably intended to sound menacing, but it's not the way he says it. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
And then it's further, like, brought in with the emotional Michelson theme that usually plays, like, with the originals.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it starts playing that piano, beautiful, like, melody I'm always talking about. It immediately makes you feel something because it always plays during some big emotional moment. And he says to her, but I'll let you in on a little secret. There's a whole world out there waiting for you. Great cities and art and music. And I noticed he touches her bracelet again as he says, genuine beauty. And you can have all of it. You can have 1,000 more birthdays. All you have to do is ask. And she just says, I don't want to die. And Klaus, like, lifts her head up, repositioning her to basically, like, be curled into his body. And he offers his wrist to her, and he says, there you go, sweetheart, have at it. And she bites him, drinking from his wrist, and he just says, happy birthday, Caroline. Again, so much to say about all of that just happened. It's literally, like, one of the most memorable, iconic scenes generally in season 3. I don't know. Which I would say the same about the bridge, too. So it's really...
I know.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah, this episode is so wild for having these two scenes back to back.
Oh, so insane.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a poll of, like, what is the most iconic scene in this episode, because there are two of, like, the behemoths of season 3 for me.
I feel like this almost has to be more iconic because it literally starts the Caroline shipping.
Yeah, it does. And I've heard so many times in various, like, interviews and things that the writers did not intend for this to like, become a thing the way it did. I think, like,
they were against it for a really long time. I feel like I've read. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's like there's so many things here where it's like you know, there's so much chemistry between Candace and Joseph that I think they didn't realize was going to happen. Again, I think a lot of it is Joseph and the way that he decided to deliver things. I think they had no idea.
Yeah.
But also, I'm like, some of these lines, like, how are you writing things like this and not realizing that this is going to become a thing? How can you write, like, there's a whole world out there waiting for you, great cities and art and music and genuine beauty, and you can have it. How can you not write that and realize that is so romantically coded?
I know.
So that's where I'm, like, a little confused. But I guess they just didn't realize, like, I don't know how much people are going to latch on to that, like, how far that was going to go.
Yeah. I was also thinking about it in this scene and how you were saying, like, Joseph Morgan could have played it differently. I almost feel like this could have also come across in a way where he's just, like flirting with her in, like, a I'm so confident.
Taunting
I'm
way.
like, yeah, like a taunting, like, not to, like, use this phrase, I hate this, but, like, an alpha male way where it's, like, he's, like, flirting, but
he's in a power position.
Exactly. It's not, like, a tender flirting. It's, like, he's, like, just overconfident and, like, I don't know.
But he puts so much real emotion behind it that it really sells it. It's so interesting.
Yeah, but after seeing the delivery of the scene, I don't know how you could think.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, too, is obviously, like, this conversation ends up becoming such, like, a building block for Caroline. Like you said, it's the start of it. And this conversation comes up all the time. It comes up in originals about how he mentioned to her that he wanted to show her, like, all this beauty in the world. Like, this is such a through line for them for every time they interact.
Yeah. I also feel like this does really, like, I'm not saying Caroline before this was, like wanted to die and, like, you know, was so unhappy with her life or whatever. But I do feel like him saying this is very impactful for Caroline.
I think it is too. I think it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's such an interesting scene just overall. Like, I can't get over this scene.
I know. I'll never be over this scene.
Yeah, like, how much I love it. How much, like, I don't know. It's such, it's so, like, dark romance to me. It's so coded that way.
Yes.
And actually, I think Candace is owed a lot of that, too. Like, the writing, but also how she performs it, of being this very, like, defiant, like, I don't know, that's such, like, a classic trope of this, like, girl who's powerless, but she's still defiant in the face of, like, this evil person.
Yeah.
It's so dark romance coded.
It's so true.
I think they do it so well. Yeah, it's the start of one of my favorite ships of Caroline.
Same.
I'm so excited we finally get to talk about this all the time now.
I know. I'm glad they finally, like, really interacted.
Yeah, but yeah, I just love it. I could talk
them.
about it forever, but we got to move on
Same.
at some point.
Yeah, no, that's okay for now. Anyway, another favorite ship. Damon has finally brought Elena home. Love that he was the one to pick her up.
Yeah, I guess he just had to find her randomly on the bridge.
Just like, I'm on the bridge. She just had to wait there on the side of the road, I guess.
Probably.
But Elena thanks Damon for picking her up, and he says, of course, anytime. And he asks if she's going to be okay, and Elena says she'll survive like she always does. And Damon says, you know, Stefan won this round for us today. Like,
he pushed Klaus.
Yeah, he pushed Klaus to the edge, and Klaus blinked. And Elena's like, sure, but his method sucked. And Damon says, still though, like, we needed a win. Klaus has been calling all the shots, and Stefan finally beat him at his own game. He was the better villain. And he's saying this, like, in an impressed way, which Elena calls out. She's like, try not to sound so impressed. And Damon says, well, I am a little bit proud. And then Damon asks if she's going to be okay again and, like, caresses her face.
Yeah, he gets close. He puts his, like, hand on her chin. He's holding her. Yeah. You know, kind of repositioning her face so that she's looking at him.
Yes.
Very romantic coded. Romantic. Very caressing.
Yes. Also, like, pretty clearly going in for a kiss, possibly.
Yeah.
Which Elena says, you can't kiss me again. And Damon says, I know. And she says, I can't. It's not right. And he says, it's right. It's just not right now, which I felt like was very, like, romantic-y coded. Like, it's right, but it's not right now.
That one goes so hard too.
It does.
Right, just not right now.
It's so good.
It's so good. This whole scene is very good. I love the way that when she says that you can't kiss me, she suddenly sounds so sad, so broken, like kind of devastated to admit that. But when he says that I know, it's so just like accepting. It's like, you know, I kind of already knew that. Yeah. And I understand.
He just is good about it. Like, he's just like, okay. And then they say goodnight, and Elena makes to go back inside as Damon leaves, and she watches him from the door frame. She watches him leave. And then it's the next morning, and we see Elena and Jeremy are standing in the Gilbert house, like in the entryway, and they're hugging, Elena and Jeremy tells Elena that she has to let go of him eventually. And Elena just tells him to be safe And then Bonnie arrives and says that she came to say goodbye. And, you know, they kind of like, Elena and Bonnie kind of have a look. Elena's like,
is she about to spill the beans?
Is she about to just say, hey, you're compelled to do this? And Bonnie just hugs Jeremy. And Jeremy grabs his stuff and looks back at Elena and Bonnie one last time and goes to the car where Alaric is waiting for him.
Yeah. Bonnie doesn't have to agree with Elena's methods, but she at least has to agree with the fact that this is clearly the better option for Jeremy.
Definitely.
That's kind of how I felt about this. Where
I
it's
agree.
Like, she can't stop her because it is right.
Yeah.
So, bye, Jeremy.
Yeah.
See you like in 5 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have another quick scene just finishing off the Caroline story. Caroline like wakes up. She puts her hand to her neck and realizes it's healed. And then she sees like a rectangular velvet box with a note on it on her little like dresser, her nightstand. And she opens the note and it says from Klaus. And then she opens the box and inside there's the bracelet, which is just like a very
diamond encrusted, expensive looking
silver bracelet. Yeah, it's beautiful. Obviously it comes back. I feel like you all know the bracelet I'm talking about.
Yeah, clearly such a level up of Tyler's bracelet.
Yeah, very different. Such a good contrast.
Which again, I just have to say quickly of like, how did the writers not intend for this to be a thing? He gives her a beautiful bracelet after all of that, and they're still just like, it wasn't a thing. It was just a thing that we hinted at for like an episode. Yeah. This is more romantic than most things we've seen at this point, other than Delana.
Especially, well, I was going to say for Caroline. I feel like this is the most romantic plot she's ever gotten.
100%.
Yeah.
Maybe Matt, the notebook things of kissing in the street, but like still.
I guess.
Still.
It's just Matt.
It's just Matt kissing in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a romantic gesture.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like still, I don't believe the writers in saying they didn't think it was going to be such a thing. Because clearly this is such a setup for a thing.
Clearly.
But anyway, we do have to go to Wickery Bridge where Matt is like walking towards Elena, who's just standing in the middle of the bridge, kind of looking off in the distance. And he makes a joke about her jumping off the bridge. I was like, Matt.
I was like, okay, is this not a little insensitive? I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. But I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. I don't know.
Maybe I am. I don't know. But Matt was on one either way.
Yeah. Also, either way, it looks so beautiful. It's clearly so fall. The leaves are so fall. And they're utilizing it. They pulled out the crane. They had a huge crane shot over the water.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks so good. And Elena is saying that she was thinking about what Matt said the night before about them all being stuck. And Matt is like, I was buzzed, Elena. Like, I can't be held responsible for being judgmental. At least he's self-aware.
I guess.
Also, I might start using that. I'm buzzed. I can't be held for being, like, judgmental. But anyway, Elena's keeping the conversation serious, and she says, like, I do feel stuck, Matt. I feel like I've been holding on to that girl that I was supposed to be, like the girl that died with her parents, and the girl who had a normal life, who didn't fall in love with vampires. Vampires, plural. That is so clearly an acknowledgement that she's already in love with Damon.
Yeah.
And Stefan, obviously. I just thought that was crazy that she said falls in love with vampires instead of a vampire. But anyway, Matt says it's okay to let that girl go, that Elena isn't that girl anymore. And Elena says, like, and she's getting kind of teary-eyed. She's getting emotional about this. She says, I feel like I disappointed her a little. Like, I disappointed them, my parents. And Matt says that as someone who knew that other girl, she's doing a lot better than she thinks she is. Again, Matt and Elena are such good, pure friends.
They are.
And Matt, like, picks up some dandelions off the side of the road. And he holds them out in front of him, and he faces towards the bridge, and he picks up the bit from last night, and he says, here lies Elena Gilbert, a fun girlfriend and an amazing friend. And he tosses the flowers over the side of the bridge, and you see them, like, in the water, kind of swirling around. It's a little moment. Yeah. It's so cute. Kind of
it's
this
really nice.
Just, like, tearing up.
Yeah.
Which I have to bring it back to the joke. No offensive comment for Elena.
Yeah.
The first thing, fun girlfriend.
Yeah.
Caroline wasn't a fun girlfriend, Matt.
Or an amazing friend.
Or an amazing
friend. You could have just said friend again.
First thing he had to say was, mean girl.
Yep.
Elena,
he's the worst.
He's so the worst. Yeah, it's just overall a nice, beautiful scene. I just love this moment for Elena. I will say, I don't love it that it's in this episode for me, because I feel like it just is, it doesn't fit really well, because, like, this episode isn't about her. It's about Caroline. It's a lot about Stefan and Klaus.
I kind of thought that too. It feels random.
It feels weirdly placed, but I do like it in that it feels like she sort of did need this closure, and because of the mentioning of Wickery Bridge and all of that stuff happening, it's like it makes sense that would dig that up. But I don't know, I just felt like I had to acknowledge that. I was like, this scene feels weirdly placed for me. But
Yeah, it feels odd because it's also in, like, Caroline's whole issue, like, her conflict with her birthday / funeral is that she became a vampire, which, I don't know, it does happen for Elena eventually that she turns into a vampire, so it almost feels like...
It's weird to do, like, a funeral for Elena when she didn't actually die.
Yeah.
It's just a transformation, which everyone goes through all the time.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, speaking of odd little bits and things that happens in this episode at the Mystic Grill.
Yeah, we see, well, this is not so odd. Alaric is drinking at the bar, obviously. And then Meredith shows up and says, thank God, another day drinker. Like, I lost a patient. What's your excuse? And Alaric just goes, I put a kid on a plane. Such odd phrasing.
Yeah, it is so funny.
And Meredith asks Alaric if the kid was his. And Alaric just laughs and says, it's a long story, obviously.
Yeah.
And Meredith says, you should probably buy me a beer then.
Yeah.
And then she goes to sit down with him.
Love the setup of them.
Yeah.
I'm glad he finally is getting, like, a romance plot after Jenna. I loved him with Jenna, and it's been so long. She's been dead for so long.
She has been dead for quite a long time, yeah.
So, glad he's getting a little something.
Yeah.
Speaking of a little something going down.
Oh, yeah. Big something.
Out in the woods, Liz is, like, walking around. She really showed up at another crime scene and immediately said, get me Damon Salvatore.
I was thinking that, too. We literally find out it has nothing to do with the council.
Yeah.
And she's
It's literally just a random murder. And she's like, get me Damon Salvatore. Because he shows up in the woods and they're walking through. There's, like, crime tape everywhere. Mm-hmm. Clearly, this is, like, a murder scene.
Yeah.
And she's telling him that a hiker called it in, that her guys got there first. And Damon's asking, like, oh, is it a hybrid? Obviously assuming it's another one of Stefan's murders. And Liz is like, well, that's what I thought at first, too. But clearly, no. She points to the body, and lying on the ground in front of them with, like, a stake in their heart, a non-desiccated person. Mm-hmm. And she identifies it as Brian Walters, the medical examiner, a.k.a. literally Meredith's ex from the party last night.
Yep.
And Damon's like, what's with the stake? He's not a vampire. And Liz ominously says, I know. This was a murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, dun, dun, dun. And so it begins.
Yeah.
Literally, first setup of this plot. So now it's no longer just being hinted at, is fully in action of Dark Alaric, as we will later find out. But at this point, not a clue what's going on.
Yeah, we'll leave that there. I have so much more to say about Dark Alaric.
Yeah.
In later episodes. For now, we'll turn it over to our voicemail hosts to see what they think.
Hi, guys. I'm Nev. I love you guys' show. I always look forward to every Thursday. I have been looking forward to episode 11, Our Town, for, like, so long, especially as a Caroline shipper, because this is totally, like, where it all starts, really where they, like, get to, like, actually talk to each other and, like, meet each other for the first time. The last thing I wanted to comment on was the scene where Elena's on the bridge, and I really just thought this was a turning point for her at the very end, where her and Matt are talking about her old life. And I just think it's a turning point for her of, like, her kind of finally letting go of Stefan a little bit, because in her old life, she was normal. And so she's holding on to that normal girl. And when it was Stefan and Elena, all they really both wanted was to be normal, so they acted normal. Like, they would try to go on dates and, like, pretend like they were normal. And so I think it's a turning point for her in her love life, because now that she's kind of letting that go, she can now more focus on, like, Damon, like, in her new life, because her new life is more about, like, fighting vampires and, you know, like, working with the team, and, like, it's not really about, like, childish high school things anymore. It's about bigger meetings and stuff. And so with Damon, anyway, I love you as a show. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to our voicemail hosts. This one came in pretty early, so we can actually respond a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that's a really great point. I do think it is a big turning point of, like, Elena has accepted her life will not be normal.
Yeah, I think so too. And it is such a good point that was so what Stelena is, and that's so not what they are anymore. Yeah. So it really does sort of force the relationship to crumble when, normal is no longer a reality that they can even pretend is true.
Yeah, it's also like, that's why she sent Jeremy away. So she has to admit that it's not normal for herself either.
Yeah, that's so true. So it's a great voicemail. Yeah, we loved it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to send voicemails in early, then we get a chance to respond to them. Obviously, we don't record, like, the night before. That's too crazy. So if they come in, like, a day or two before, sometimes it's too late. So
any episodes, Dangerous Liaisons, Heart of Darkness, get them in now, people.
Yeah, anything you want to say it now. But also especially for episode 12, our next episode.
Yeah, especially.
To wrap up this episode, for deaths, we have the hybrid that Damon like extracted the heart of in the very top of the episode. We have Mindy, who was killed by Stefan via decapitation. Yes. And then we have Brian Walters, the medical examiner, Meredith's ex. And we don't know this yet, but he was killed by Alaric.
Yeah, staked in the heart.
Yep.
As a human.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the woods also, which is so weird. But anyway, so yeah, first kill for Alaric, I think. First non-vampire kill for Alaric, which is pretty drastic. Then, of course, we have to get into our out-of-pocket or things we would have done differently. Now, I have to say it. I know it's like so serious and we usually try to avoid a serious option. However, I do think that this is so obviously crazy out of pocket that I just have to say, not only Stefan trying to kill Elena, but specifically Stefan choosing Wickery Bridge of all places, of all methods to kill Elena. Yeah. That's the thing he chose. That's so far out of pocket for me. That's just like...
No.
I can't even think of anything else other than Matt's behavior generally.
I did try to pick like a lighter one and a serious one,
and it's those two.
It's definitely Matt's dialogue is a little fun, light, out of pocket, but it just doesn't compare to how insane and out of pocket Stefan is being.
I just really can't understand. Of all ways to kill her, sure. Threaten Elena's life, whatever. She's been there 1,000 times.
Fine.
Dangle her over like water that has sharks in it. I don't care.
But hold her head over a bathtub. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, any other method.
Anything else.
But to cut her arm so she's slowly bleeding out, I don't know, which that sounds terrible. But that I would choose that over having to die where my parents died and I almost died. The trauma of that is insane. Like, that just has to win out of pocket. It does. To me.
It's absolutely Stefan.
Yeah.
And then for quote, I had an absolutely, but it wasn't Stefan.
Oh, interesting.
I had two quotes that I really liked. Both were Klaus. I love his dialogue.
I love his dialogue. Well, so I had 5 quotes as usual.
Of course.
I always try to cut it back and I never can. But I have 2 Damons and 3 Klauses, my faves.
Of course.
So I'll do my Damons really quick since I know that you don't have them. Okay. Mostly quick, which is I liked when Damon says, so if he says blink, I suggest you blink. Yeah. I thought that was a really smart one. And... well, actually, this was my obvious one. I kind of don't want to say it.
Okay,
I'll hold it.
You can not say it. I guess an obvious one that we probably have some overlap, but I don't know. I love both of my Klaus clothes. I'll just say we talked about both of them, but I'll give this one. On your birthday? You really think that low of me?
That's a good one.
It's so iconic. Like, as soon as he started saying that, I was like... I love this scene. I remember this. I know exactly what goes down.
I really thought about that one. I didn't say that one because instead I said Klaus's just whole entire monologue to Caroline.
That was my other one.
Okay, good.
That was my other one.
Which I didn't write down, but so out of it I just specifically chose because I was like, I can't say the whole monologue. It's literally a paragraph.
Yeah, I didn't write it.
So I specifically said, there's a whole world out there waiting for you. Great cities and art and music, genuine beauty. I thought that was like the beautiful kind of piece of that. Yeah. Klaus's like whole speech to me was just like the obvious one. Yeah. But there was another Klaus one that also like, I don't know, felt obvious to me as like a best quote too of crazy or not, that kind of love never dies about Stefan and Elena. I thought that was a really, I don't know, it's one of those quotes that I'm like, I'm sure people use that in edits a lot. I'm sure that's like a quote that gets like used for any Stelena shippers. Yeah. I don't know, it's just it's a great way of like kind of summing up their relationship. And then I'm really shocked you didn't have this Damon one. It's right, just not right now.
Oh, that's so true. How could I forget that?
It's such a good one. But I feel like we both have to do the Caroline.
No, now I'm like, I forgot about the Damon one. It just slipped my mind.
It's such a good one. It's right, just not right now. If a man said that to me,
it has to. That's the
it'd be over.
That's the winner. It has to be that. I just love Klaus too much.
Well, I also really want to do the Klaus monologue, but it's like it's a monologue.
It's a monologue.
Okay. Well, quick question: did we do the Damon monologue in 212, the Rose speech? Because if we did that whole monologue, I feel like we have to do this whole monologue. But I don't remember if we did.
I can't remember if we did. I feel like we might have just pulled a line from it.
I think we did too, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go Damon. It's right, just not right now.
I think it's Damon. No, you convinced me. I forgot.
It's such a beautiful thing to say to somebody. Oh my gosh, how Elena didn't fold right then and
there. I know. I would have kissed him.
Yeah, she's so stronger than me.
She is. She really is.
But anyway, on to also, well, okay, I think it's probably going to be easy for us. But I had a few songs I really liked in our song of the episode. I know what the winner is. I just know what the winner is because it's been on Rachel's Airbuds, her most listened song for like a week. I saw she listened to it 7 times in the past week. I was like, I guess that's Rachel's favorite song, which is lucky because I agree.
Okay, good.
But so before that, I have 2 honorable mentions. Did you have any?
I didn't like really want to call it out before this, but now I'm like, I will. I did really like the like kind of melancholy Up in Flames.
Yeah, Up in Flames by Coldplay.
Yeah, when Caroline's pulling up to the school.
I really like that one.
I did really like that, especially more after we talked about it. I feel like that always happens.
Yeah.
I don't write it down or anything, but I'm like, actually, now that we've talked about it.
Yeah, I really like Up in Flames by Coldplay. Obviously, like, I really like Coldplay. I really like that song. I think it's so appropriate for the moment of Tyler and Caroline literally going up in flames. They are breaking up in that moment. It's so emotional. It being like her first scene in her birthday episode with that song playing. Yeah. I thought that was a really good one. I was tempted to do it as best song because I really liked it, but obviously the winner was so obvious. Yeah. But I did also want to give a shout out to the obligatory last emotional song, as always, Between by Courier. It's the classic emotional ending song. Yeah. And the song to me just sounds like Vampire Diaries. We talked about this before we started filming. It sounds so much like
Never Say Never by The Fray.
Yeah, it sounds eerily similar.
I swear they're like basically the same song.
Yeah, I could hear this song anywhere out in the wild and I'd be like, this was in Vampire Diaries. This was in a Vampire Diaries episode. Yes. What was this in? Somebody Google it. Like, I would know. I wouldn't know what it's from, but I would know that it was in it. True. And it's, of course, like, as Jeremy's saying goodbye, Caroline finds the bracelet, Matt and Elena on the bridge. It just felt so Vampire Diaries that I was like, I have to give it a shout out. But you can give us our winner.
Yes. Okay. Our winner. I was listening to a season 3 best of playlist before starting our season, and I rediscovered this song, Punching in a Dream by The Naked and the Famous. I've been obsessed with it, re-obsessed ever since. Yeah, I love. And it plays when Damon is showering and then Elena is literally punching the bag.
Right at the start.
Bag. Yeah. It's just great.
It's so
a great
good.
Song. It's so this era.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's so iconic for the time. I definitely loved the song in high school. And it's just so funny, like Damon happy showering as Elena's punching. Like, it fits so perfect. I would like to imagine that Damon was listening to this song while he was showering. Yeah. Like, it just fits the vibe of the scene and the era. It does. I really like it. It's a great song. And I'm happy to be adding it to our playlist. Yep. So, Punching in a Dream will be going on our best song of the episode playlist. We have the winner for every song up until this episode. And we also have a season 3 specific playlist that has all of the winners of best song and all of the honorable mentions so far. So there's already like so many good songs on there. You should definitely check them out. That's linked in our various bios and descriptions, as long as our social medias, TikTok and Instagram, where we do fun polls, fun clips, fun memes, all sorts of stuff. We're always like doing something to get you guys to interact. So join us over there.
Yeah, and you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can watch the video version on YouTube, too, if you're not already doing that. And if you want to see our birthday tiaras. Yeah, so pop over there, listen to us, and join us next week for Season 3, Episode 12, The Ties That Bind.
Yeah. Bonnie's mom.
Yeah,
that's the reminder.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all that sticks out for me.
Yeah. Well, and Stefan finding out that Elena and Damon kissed.
Yeah, so, that's a big one.
Yeah, there'll be some stuff to get into in that one for sure. Thanks for watching and are listening to this very long episode. Yeah. I can't believe you stuck it this far.
Yeah, wow. I'm impressed.
But yeah, hope we see you again next week. Bye.